We're talking about the root of all bad behavior in your company, in your office, your work. And we've discussed that the way that it works is it's all rooted in the way our brain responds and processes external stimuli. So let's understand the brain a little bit. If you had anatomy 101 or biology, you may be familiar with the different parts of the brain, but we'll give you like the idiot's guide kind of right now. This is called the triune brain, and triune means, if you've taken Latin, means three parts to the brain. So break the brain into this wonderful drawing here. We have what we call the brainstem. That is the right here at the base of your skull. Then you have the middle brain, which is the limbic system, the emotional part of your brain, and then you have the prefrontal cortex and the frontal lobe. That's the cognitive part of the brain. So the brainstem is also called the reptilian brain, and it's called a reptile because just as a reptile doesn't have any emotions or cognitions, it's just cold, so to the brainstem. It's merely there to keep us alive, to regulate our breathing. It's the reactive part of our brain. It's where you go when you're under stress. So if you're feeling stressed out about anything in life, you're not feeling safe, you go to your brainstem, which means you're not accessing that middle brain, that emotional brain, and you're definitely not accessing the cognitive part of your brain. So let's talk about, I'll give you an example of a colleague of mine who was traveling, and it was Thanksgiving, the busiest travel season of the year, and all the flights were being delayed, and people were, of course, very upset because they were supposed to get to their family for a Thanksgiving dinner, and it was a big inconvenience. So they went to the ticket counter attendant, and they started harassing her and complaining, and asking her, when are you going to have new information, updates. So she was completely frazzled. And my colleague, he went to her and he saw her that she looked completely out of it and really not capable of doing anything, of being effective. And he just really wanted to make her feel safe, make her feel connected, kind of help her get out of her stress mode, and really validate her, empathize her. It looks like you're having a really hard time. It's not fair. People are really bothering you. You're doing the best job you can. It's not under your control. And all of a sudden, her complexion changed on her face. And she was able to find him the next connecting flight 5 minutes later. How is that possible? What changed between 5 minutes before, when she was completely frazzled and ineffective, to now? The answer is that she was able to get out of that stuck place, that brainstem, that reptilian brain, and able to access her full brain. Because when we're under stress, we're frazzled. We can't think straight. We can't think about, well, here's one possibility. Maybe I could do this. Oh, maybe this airline has another flight that we could send our passengers on. No, I'm so stressed out, I can't even think. It's like sometimes when I'm trying to get a parking spot in parallel park, which I don't like doing, and I'm very stressed out, I'm running late, and no matter how many times I try, I cannot get that parking spot. I just can't do it. And if I would look afterwards and see how much space I had, I would think I should have failed my driver's test years ago. So what happens is, when I can get myself to a place of calm, when I calm myself down, when I get out of that stress mode, stop thinking about the fact that I'm going to be late now, I'm not going to find a spot, I'm going to have to go around the block a few more times, and I can get to a place of calm, then I start accessing my full brain, and then I'm capable of doing things that I couldn't have done before. And this is the most important thing you can learn about productivity in the office place, because if your employees, or if you are in stress mode, you are not going to be able to be productive. You're not going to be able to access the full possibilities that you have in your brain. But when you can get to a place of calm and connection, you can be able to access things that you would not previously thought you could do. It's pretty amazing. So let's talk a little bit about some examples of what happens when you're feeling safe and what happens when you're not feeling safe, just to illustrate this, to help us understand. So we'll look at this chart over here. Here's some examples of activities. When we feel safe, we play, we mate, we eat. You don't want to do some of these things at your office. Purr. These are things we're relaxed, we're connected. But when we're unsafe, if any of your employees do this. So again, these are things that animals do when they're feeling safe or not safe, and you can draw the parallel between some of these things that are humans. Maybe we might not do some of these exact things, but the idea is that we're going to be acting in one of these two ways. So when we're safe, we have all these great things. When we're unsafe, we shield ourselves, we run away, we hide in our shell, we bite, we growl, or the animals do this, throw things, squirt, spray, camouflage. These are all ways of protecting ourselves. And some of them might seem aggressive, some of them might seem passive or passive-aggressive. But the idea is that they're all for the purpose of getting safe. Because if we're not safe, that's our number one MO. We need to stay alive. That's what's going on in our heads. Even though we seem like we're these developed humans, we have a very primitive part of ourselves that is just trying to protect ourselves to stay alive. And that's what we're going to do when we're not feeling safe. The first thing is we think about ourselves and not about anyone else. So if you have employees that are selfish or self-absorbed or they seem not to be a team player, instead of just attacking their character, start thinking, what's going on for them? Are they feeling threatened about something here? Because I bet you if they weren't feeling so threatened, they would be much more amenable to being engaged in the team. So if you think about some of these things that makes us reactions, we have similar type of reactions as human beings. So just as animals have those extreme reactions, we also have reactions. We process, when we're looking at the brain again, we're looking at everything that's happening around us and we're processing, is this safe or is this unsafe? If this is safe, then I can get my full brain, I can be effective, I can think of creative solutions. If it's not safe, I'm staying alive. And this is where a lot of us spend a lot of time, especially if we have stress. So it's really important not to have a stressful workplace because you're not going to have productive employees. So what happens? We do the same type of thing as animals. We either minimize our energy or we maximize our energy. So we talked about maximizing our energy is either pushing our energy out. So that's either running away, fight or flight basically. We're aggressive in fighting or running away. Just like we said, these animals, that they might growl, they might bite, or they might flee. Those are ways of maximizing our energy. And then we have ways where we minimize our energy, where we kind of shut down or we camouflage, we kind of freeze or submit. And you have maybe see some people at the office that do that as well, but they're still ineffective. Whether they're being aggressive or whether they're just going into their shell, they are ineffective. And this is going to harm your company if you're not feeling safe. So we call this turtles and hailstorms. Now, the hailstorm is, some of the things the hailstorms might say is, how come you never, why don't you, do you ever listen to me? Turtles are kind of checking out like, I'm not going to talk about this. They want to change the subject to kind of go into their shells. And what happens in a company, in any situation, in any relationship, is that when you have these two competing energies, they're actually going to perpetuate a negative cycle. And if you have someone at the office who is the hailstorm, let's say the boss, you're the hailstorm, and you want to get things done, and you're outspoken, and maybe they feel that you're even a little bit of an aggressor. Well, if you have somebody who's going to feel unsafe, especially if they're a turtle, they're probably not going to respond too well to that. They're actually going to go into the shelves, and they're not going to be productive. They're actually going to retreat, and they're not going to really want to engage with you. And if you're a turtle, then you might see some of your employees who are maybe a little bit inappropriate. They might be disrespectful. They might be loud and obnoxious, and not respecting what you have to say. So you have to understand that if you're a turtle, and if you're kind of withdrawing yourself from them and you're not kind of engaging with them, they might feel unsafe, and then they're going to react as a hailstorm. The idea is that growing up, we learn how to protect ourselves and stay alive. As we said, the modus operandi of the brainstem is to stay alive. So how did we stay alive? Some of us had to make a lot of noise to get our needs met. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And others just kind of shut down. We kind of just minded our own business and kind of got out of the way. And that's what you're going to see in some of the interactions with people in the workplace, that you're going to have those personalities that are going to make a lot of noise, and you're going to have those who are going to kind of be more quiet and withdrawn. And if you notice that they're not being productive, or you have that bad behavior, you want to start noticing, how am I acting towards them? Am I acting like the hailstorm, and therefore they're prompting them to go into their shell? Or I'm acting like the turtle, and they're making a lot of noise to get my attention? So the way that we deal with this is create safety. We create safety and create structure so that we can be able to have safe conversations, that we can set times to be able to talk, to know what to expect, and to be able to engage in a non-confrontational way. So if those, the hailstorms among you who might be criticizing your employees and calling them names, which of course is inappropriate, but you might be very frustrated. Well, it's not so helpful. I remember working somewhere as a kid, and um, the employee was he was a hailstorm, the employer, and he was pretty scary, and he would just, call you names, and, they were just supposed to accept that, but I was terrified. I was a turtle. I was really terrified, and it didn't give me warm and fuzzy feelings about working there. I didn't really want to continue working there. Couldn't wait till the summer was over to get out of that place. So you have to understand that if you want people to be a part of your corporation, a part of your culture, you want them to be passionate about what they're doing, excited to come to work and contribute. You want to engage them, make them feel safe. So if you're criticizing them, if you're shaming them, it's not a recipe for success. And similarly, if you're the turtle and you're not engaging them, you're not providing them direction, if you're kind of retreating from them, they might start getting a little bit rambunctious and out of order. So you want to be able to create an environment where you can have a give and take, where you can both be able to talk to each other about what your needs are in the business and work, and be able to work through it together. And one of the things it's also important to realize is that I just want you to understand, when people are frustrated in the workplace, that there's something else going on. It's easy to get caught up and start troubleshooting about solutions, about the problems, the complaints that they have. But ultimately, we want to understand that underneath every frustration, the frustration is just the tip of the iceberg. Underneath the frustration is what we call an unmet need. There's something else that they want. And we want to be able to listen long enough to help them be able to express what they actually want from you. So instead of complaining, and this is a really important thing to do, because if you have everybody at your office complaining, that's really great, but what are we supposed to do? As a employer, you want to be able to find a business person, CEO, you want to be able to find a solution to the problem. So what is it that they need? Your employees think about, I don't like the vending machines, and you don't give us enough vacation. We can listen to them. We can listen to all of their complaints, but ultimately, what is it that they want from you? I want to feel valued. I want you to feel like you respect us, that you treat us as, with dignity. Okay, so that's a whole different thing than just hearing complaints. Because when we hear complaints, we're probably going to go into that reptilian brain. We're going to go into that reactivity because nobody wants to be criticized. So when your employees are complaining to you, you might get defensive, and of course that's going to repeat the hailstorm cycle. So we want to be able to stop that. So instead of hearing the complaints, helping them learn how to be able to express what is their unmet need. Now they might be able to express what is it that you need, what would you like, explain it. Or you could even guess, instead of reacting right away at the frustration, realizing, okay, I know that they're upset about something. What is it that they need? What do they need from this company? What do they need from me? And then exploring that helps you be able to come from a more effective approach and a less reactive approach, a more intentional approach where we're coming from, we're problem solving, we're brainstorming, we're thinking creatively together as a team to solve the problem because there's something that needs to be met that's not being met, as opposed to, here's my laundry list of complaints. So again, it's all about safety. If you're looking at the problems in your business, if you're looking at the bad behavior that people are having, whether it's the boss or your coworkers or your employees, anyone on your team, it's important to start thinking, is this environment a safe environment? Am I helping them feel safe? Are we able to understand what they really need? Really be able to produce much more effective solutions and create success for your company.